I'm going to show you 3 different fall DIYs that you can do from things from the Dollar Tree and stuff that you have laying around your house. I went to the Dollar Tree this morning to pick up some things for this week's project. We have a foam wreath. I got 6 packs of these pumpkins. They have clips on the back, but I'm going to take the clips off and we're gonna put them on this wreath. I got these like fake little leather ones, some paints, jute cord, and these pearls that I thought we could use to fill in on the wreath. So let's get started. I'm gonna start with these little pumpkins. Like I said, they have a little clip on the back of them. And I wanna take that off because we don't need it. They have like a little stem. I'm gonna do that to the rest of the pumpkins.
After removing the clips off the back, I removed the top stems from the pumpkins as well, just to make it easier for us to paint these. In a second, you're going to see that the paint that I chose for this didn't end up working out. I used some paints that I had laying around the house that I've used for other projects like room makeovers, my craft room makeover, and my linen closet makeover. So they ended up just being paints that you can get from the hardware store.
This Dollar Tree paint absolutely sucks. We might be spray painting these. This is like glue consistency. It's like super sheer. I would not buy this paint. All my pumpkins are painted and dry, and now it's time to attach them to the wreath. Here is my foam wreath, and I got some toothpicks as well that I've just had in my cupboard. I'm going to break them in half and stick them through the bottom of the pumpkin. And I'm going to stick the pumpkin onto the wreath with the toothpick. I'm going to repeat that, just alternating colors.
The wreath that inspired this project I found on Pinterest, and the whole entire piece was covered with these styrofoam pumpkins that I believe were actually a lot smaller than this, or the foam wreath was a lot bigger than this. So it was really hard to try to figure out how many pumpkins were going to fit on here. So I tried a couple times before I started hot gluing them. So I'm using the hot glue because the toothpicks didn't actually hold it as well as I would like it to. So they were just a little bit loose and probably would have fallen off as soon as I put the wreath on the door. Once I had all of the styrofoam pumpkins glued on, I started gluing on the faux leather gray pumpkins as filler. And I just filled in all of the gaps so that you couldn't see as much green, and then we're going to go in and add some of the pearls. But I really don't have a lot of technique here. This is kind of just like doing what looks good. I mostly put these gray pumpkins on the inner part of the rim, and then I also put them on the very outer. Here I am putting those pearls on. I really liked these pearls. I think that they added a nice feminine touch, and I really didn't think I was going to use them, but I'm really glad that I did. I ended up buying another pack of these and also one other pack of the leather pumpkins. I would love to know in the comments if this is a wreath that you would try to recreate or how you would make it different.
For this project, we're going to be making a pom-pom garland. I'm really excited about this. I think it's going to look really cute hanging over my fireplace. So I'm going to start with some yarn. I've had this yarn in my stash for literally ever. It's a Bernat yarn, I'm pretty sure, but this is probably like 4 years old. You can totally use some yarn from the Dollar Tree or any yarn that you have laying around. Even the thrift store is a good place to find yarn. You're going to need some scissors. You're going to need a piece of cardboard. I literally ripped this off of a box. And then you're going to need something round. I'm using this paint can that we used in our last project just to create the template for our pom-poms. And then some jute twine and a needle to thread the jute twine, so like an upholstery needle will be best. I'm also going to use a bottle cap for the center. I'll show you what I'm talking about. You're going to want to grab your piece of cardboard as well as something round and a pen, and we're going to just trace the circumference of this paint can. It doesn't have to be perfect, just a general idea. And we're gonna make 2 of those. And then we are going to take our bottle cap. I'm going to place it into the center, and I'm going to trace the bottle cap as well. This will determine the size of your pom-pom, so do whatever size round objects you want your pom-poms to be. And then I'm just going to cut this out with some scissors. These are not my fabric scissors, these are just my craft scissors. Please do not use your fabric scissors for this project. You can also use cardstock as well instead of cardboard. And I'm going to put a slit in it to cut out the center. And you'll want to repeat it to the other piece of cardboard as well. Have something like this. The next thing I'm doing is I'm just putting them together, and then I'm going to cut just like a bigger slit. To open it up, I'm going to do that on both sides. This is what that looks like. So I'm going to start wrapping this piece of cardboard. I'm going to place the yarn, and I'm just going to wrap it around. I want to make sure that it's like going to stay wrapping and wrapping around the cardboard. I want the yarns to be really close together because I want a lot of pom-pom floof.
Once we have the yarn wrapped all the way around the donut, we're going to snip a tail, and then we're going to go in between the donut with our scissors, and we're going to cut the yarn along the top of our template that we made. This is going to make all the little hairs of the pom-pom. Sometimes it can be hard to get your scissors in between the pieces of cardboard. So when you're doing this, make sure you go slow so that you don't accidentally slip and cut yourself. Now that we have all the little pom-pom hairs cut, we're going to cut a piece of yarn. We're going to put it in between the two pieces of cardboard, and then we're going to tie a knot. This is what's going to secure the pom-pom hairs together so that they do not come apart. I like to tie a double knot just to make sure it's really secure, but you can do a triple knot or you can do 4 knots, whatever you feel most comfortable with. After we have secured the pom-pom hairs, we're just going to take the template off of the pom-pom, and then we're going to start fluffing it up. I like to pull in the middle just to make sure that all of the pom-pom hairs are like even, and then we're going to snip off the pieces that you use to tie the knot, and we're going to trim any other weird long ones just so that they're all even. You can leave them if you want, kind of gives it an organic look, but I like to just trim them all up. He's a little pom-pom.
I have all my pom-poms ready to be strung, so now I am going to thread my yarn needle. So I measured my mantle and chose the length for the string. I was going to use some jute twine, but I'm just going to use the yarn that I used to make the pom-poms. So I'm going to take my yarn needle and I'm just going to thread this needle, and then I'm going to take a pom-pom and I'm trying to make it so we have dark, light, dark, light. So I'm going to find the center of the pom-pom and I'm just going to string them on, and then once they're all strung on, I can go back and kind of like manipulate them to be in the area that I want them to be. Here is the garland, and I'm actually going to tie a knot in the garland on the ends, and then I'm going to stick it under this plant. I'm going to do the same on the other side. And I made it a little bit too long. I'm going to stick it under this other plant. And then I'm going to adjust all the pom-poms. For this last project, we're going to make some coasters. I have this fabric in my stash. It almost looks like a linen-y texture, and we're gonna make little leaf-shaped coasters. You will need fabric of your choice, scissors, a pencil or a marking utensil, a sewing machine, you can also hand sew this, and some embroidery floss. So the first thing I'm gonna do is start drawing out a leaf shape, whatever that means to you. It can be pointy with a stem. It can have some like, almost like M shapes. I have my fabric doubled and then doubled again so that I can cut 4 pieces of fabric at one time. For each coaster, you are going to need 2 pieces of fabric. I have a coaster for reference that I just want to make it at least this big. To make a little stem. I'm gonna make it kind of fat. No, because then it'll look like a tree. A little stemmy stem action. And then I'm just going to cut it out. Now I have 2 sets of leaves and I'm gonna make 2 more. Here are my 4 coasters. And basically what we're going to do is sew all the way around the edges, leaving about 1 inch to 1.5 inches so that we can turn it right side out. And I'll show you how to close that up later. I have my leaves sewn and they still have a hole in them. So I'm folded the edges in and we're going to stitch it closed. I'll show you how to do that. First, I'm going to thread my needle, and then to sew this hole closed, I'm going to slip my needle through the fabric, but like inside the fabric. Fold those in, stuff the tail in, and then I'm going to go through the other side of where I inserted the needle. I'm going to repeat that on the other side. And then we're just going to go back and forth until the hole is closed. This is an invisible stitch. And then instead of pulling this all the way through, I'm going to make a small loop, stick my needle through there, pull on this end, and start to tighten. This is making a knot. And then before it is all the way pulled through, there's my loop. I'm gonna stick the needle back through that loop and pull tight to create a knot. And then I'm going to hide the thread. So I'm gonna stick my needle
in between the pieces of fabric,
through the fabric, and then out. I'm going to pull tight, and I'm just going to snip that off. And our hole is closed. I'm going to repeat this to all of them, and then we're going to start making the leaf pretty. Okay, now that I have the hole closed, I'm going to sew some veins for the leaf, and I'm going to do that with some embroidery thread. I have a ton of embroidery thread. I believe that I got most of this from the Goodwill. Actually, I think I got all of it from the Goodwill. So I'm just gonna pick a color, couple colors, fall vibes, you know. I'm gonna cut some thread. I'm going to thread my embroidery needle. An embroidery needle has a larger eye. If you were making these as gifts, you could totally embroider somebody's initials in these as well. I think that would be really cute.
I'm just tying the ends in a double knot so that they don't go through the fabric when I start stitching.
I'm going to start at the base of the leaf, and I'm going to bring my needle up. And then I'm going to go backwards.
I think the stitch that we're doing here is called a back stitch, but I'm not 100% sure. So if you know, please leave a comment down below.
I'm going to flip around. I'm going to go up this way, up through the top, and then then go back down close to where that first stitch was. It might be a little tight, so be patient getting it through the fabric. And I'm going to go all the way up through the center of the leaf.
Editing, Kristen here. I don't believe I told you guys that we are making the veins for the leaf. So basically we're going to stitch up and also create something like a branch off the center so that it creates the look of a vein in a leaf. This just gives it way more dimension and kind of makes it look like a leaf would. And you can do this differently depending on what type of leaf you decided to make. I also really think that this would be a great Christmas gift or holiday gift to give to your mom, your sister, your grandma, literally anybody, and it would be so cute if you put their initials in these leaves. It's just fun and it gives me warm and cozy vibes. I think that really anybody would love this, and there's so many ways to customize these for people that you love.
I cannot believe how good these projects came out, especially that Dollar Tree wreath. Thank you so much for joining me on these fun DIY adventures. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.